Hey, Naperville, do you want to know what's going on in the real estate market this week? And do you have questions about how to renovate your home and finance that renovation? Well, stick around. We've got all that and more on the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. Owning a home in Naperville is about living a great life today and investing in a secure tomorrow. On this show, we're going to give you the tools to do both. Welcome to the Naperville Real Estate Weekly Market Update. Hey, welcome back to the show. My name is Chris Grano. I'm with Keller Williams Realty right here in Naperville. And my co-host is Todd Gosden with Compass Mortgage. Todd, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thank you very much. Wasn't super excited about the snow in April yesterday, but things are looking up, I think.
We kind of has to give that last little dig in, right? Right
It's
before.
a very big dig.
Yeah, for sure. But I'll tell you, it hasn't slowed anything at all. I'm sure you've seen in the real estate market here, and it's definitely been a hopping spring. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk today with Todd about financing renovations. Renovations have been a really hot topic in the last year for sure, as people start to use their homes in ways that maybe they didn't before. So Todd's going to talk us through some options there. And real quick, before we do that, we're going to take a look at the numbers here in real estate in Naperville this week. Todd, the activity continues. Good news, and really no big change from last week is kind of the summary of it. We had 120 new listings, 112 homes under contract, and 59 sold. So those are almost exactly the same numbers as last week. Right. And then when we talk about our inventory, to remind everyone, anything really under 5 or 6 when it comes to month supply of inventory, we're talking about a seller's market. And as we get above that 6 number, we're talking about more of a buyer's market. So under $500,000, still a strong seller's market, 2.24, 500 to 750, right about 2.9, just up slightly from last week, still a seller's market. When you get above that 750 is where things start to normal out. We're looking at pretty balanced market between 750 and 1 million. And then above 1 million, again, always a little bit of a different story there at about 13 months of inventory. So that's what we're looking at there. Todd, what can you share with us that's new in your world this week?
Well, you know what? Definitely we are moving into this traditional season, as they would say, of people looking to buy and sell homes. I can tell you right now, we're seeing interest rates moving back to 2-month lows. So what that means is they have been steadily moving backwards, and we're starting to see those rates in some cases in the upper 2s again for 30-year fixed mortgages, which is great because they at one point moved all the way to 3 3/8. They've moved all the way back down now. So that's super. I think the other thing is that we need to keep in mind is when we start looking at what's happening in the market is, man, is it heating up? We are seeing the month of March had a 19.4 increase over February for people writing applications to purchase homes. And last week was 9% greater than the week before that of people writing applications. So wow. The market is motoring right now, and people are looking for sure to find that perfect home. And I think the other thing is we're starting to see an increase in inventory, which is really good for those buyers.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I mean, I feel like you and I have had more conversations in the last week for sure, even over previous weeks about buyers getting ready to do some things. And you're right. It depends. It truly depends on the market. So when we're talking about Naperville here, we're in a little bit better situation than some of the surrounding suburbs. Of course, you and I both work with buyers and sellers all over the Chicagoland area.
Yeah, sure.
And, areas adjacent to Naperville, such as Plainfield, Bolingbrook, some of these areas have really still pretty low inventory, especially in the first-time buyers market. But Naperville, thankfully, is starting to see a little bit of a lift. And one thing I'll just remind folks is we've talked about it 1,000 times. Be prepared in as many ways as possible. Be prepared with your financing, of course, and be prepared, in your search and try to find opportunities. If you're not asking your real estate agent already about off-market opportunities, be sure to be doing that. And if you don't know how to go about that, or if you don't have an agent to help you with that, certainly I'm available. Matter of fact, Todd, I just partnered this week with an app called ZenList. Are you familiar with ZenList?
Yes, I am. Tell us a little more about it, though.
Yeah, so it's a really neat opportunity for buyers to get a sneak peek for the first time, really, into the private listing network, which you and I know is the real estate broker facing only network of homes. And oftentimes these homes are available before they come to the market. And sometimes they never make it out of that private listing network. So I'm super excited to allow my clients to have a peek to where they can actually search these properties right on their phone or on their desktop on their own. It's an invite only. So certainly if you're interested in that, reach out to me. I'll provide links as well so folks can do that. But it's a nice advantage in a hot market like this.
That's fantastic.
So Todd, let's continue our conversation from last week about financing renovations. And I know I did a little renovation at the house this year. And, thankfully for us, it was enough where we were able to just take some cash and throw it at that. It wasn't too big of a project. But let me give you a situation. And this actually may be me having this conversation with you about a year from now in reality. But let's say, hey, Todd, my wife and I are going to be looking for a home here in Naperville. We're targeting about 450 to 500,000. And we know that we may find a home that needs a little bit of work. And so we would love to buy a home and maybe do a kitchen renovation or maybe do a master bath renovation. And I know that's going to cost me probably, $20,000 to $50,000, depending on what I do. If I don't necessarily have that cash sitting there ready to spend, how can I finance that renovation when I purchase or after I purchase?
Well, there's a couple ways. First of all, it all comes down to how much you want to spend. And the first question I'll always ask someone is how much are you putting down as a down payment?
Okay.
Right? So if you're spending $350,000 on a house or whatever the number may be, is we may want to take a look at reducing the down payment so you have the cash to use right away. That's number one.
All right.
But we also have to measure what that may look like from an interest standpoint and also a bunch of other factors that may assist in you making that decision. But let's say we move beyond that. And then the most common question is, what is the right way to do it, right? Well, there's two different ways you got to think about that. Number one is cash is king. So if you can use cash, that'd be great. But if you can't, two other ways to think about it would be potentially look at as how much are you going to renovate? So if you're doing something that's 20 to 50,000, depending on how much equity you have in your house when you purchase it, sometimes you can do a line of credit on the house, right? And here's why. Well, number one, it's very inexpensive. Number two, it's very easy because you're not required to have a contractor. And this may be DIY work for you or an uncle or a father or somebody who's very, very familiar with that. And going down that road makes it super simple because you're writing the checks out of your own account just from your mortgage, just like anybody else may, just if you're paying cash for it, right? The simplicity of that is there. Super simple to do. But just remember that is when you go to the bank to do that line of credit, they're appraising the house again, right? And so if they're appraising the house, just understand that there's only so much equity they're going to allow you to take out of your home. So the difference between doing it that way and then going the next step would be renovation loans, construction loans. Now, why is that so different than doing the other side of that, whereas you get to have control, is now you've lost control. Losing control means that you have to have some sort of plan, some sort of blueprint, some sort of sworn statement from a certified builder of that particular bank that has seen some sort of background on them that knows that they do follow through. And then the other big difference in that is number one, cost. To do a renovation loan, it's going to cost you significantly, a few $1,000s most likely.
Okay.
But the other thing is that in doing the renovation, they're taking the blueprints and making the appraisal based on future value after completion, not present value.
Right.
So you're really getting an idea of what that may look like in the future for you by renovating the kitchen or renovating the master bath or the bathrooms, because we know that those are kind of the big places where everybody goes with their money.
Sure.
So what it really comes down to is really measuring those two things based on need. Let's discuss your need, discuss your desire, because a lot of people just want to do it themselves. I mean, this is the world of DIY now, right? Everybody wants to do it on their own and wants to put their own creative touch into it. Well, that's great if you know how to do it. And number two is it's your money. So you can spend it any way you want. But if you're looking to go that route of actually getting renovation, it changes the rules altogether. It's very strict. They're always making sure that the project's being done in an orderly fashion. The title companies are. Money's held in escrow for you. The bank is giving. It's really just a different animal completely. Both are very viable. Both are happening so much right now because people that are choosing not to move are renovating houses. right? So there is simplicity to it, but we have to discern first is what is the right place for you based on the dollars you're looking to spend. And also, listen, if I'm doing it, I'm not doing the work myself, nor is my wife allowing me to do the work myself. So let's put it in perspective is we have to determine your need and necessity of how that need is going to be used to fix whatever you may be doing in the home.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer. I mean, that's always the answer in our world, is that every situation is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So thank you for giving us a look at those different options. And certainly, yeah, if you're watching, you're listening out there and you're curious about, adding to your home. And again, part of our mission on the podcast here is to help you understand how to protect your investment, and keeping it updated is one way to make sure that, you're going to continue to have good equity in your home, in the future. When you come to me and say, hey, Chris, I want to sell my home and I see my neighbor's house is selling for, X amount. Well, hopefully, you've kept yours up as well, and we can get you, top dollar. So doing renovations is one of the great ways to do that. And talking to someone like Todd to help you figure out the best plan to go about that should always be your first step. So yeah. What else you got, Todd?
Let me just add one more thing to it. There's no fast in that, right? Nothing is ever fast. So if you're looking to do it, the best thing to do is start having that conversation when you are purchasing and thinking about it. That way we can maybe start making decisions prior to close, before closing, to make it simpler on you.
Yeah, and exactly. And I have the conversation with buyers all the time, because sometimes I'll talk to buyers. Matter of fact, just Monday night, I was at a home with a couple of buyers, and it was near the top of their price point, and they're going, and I'm saying, well, you got this to do and this to do and this to do and this to do. Yeah, well, we can do all that. We can do all this. But if I could get you a home near this price point that actually has some things already done, would that be better? And they said, well, yeah. And I said, well, we could actually probably achieve that, believe it or not. And it was just a matter of, looking in the right area and things like that. But there's different solutions for everybody. And you've pointed this out before too. We certainly don't want to have someone purchase a home at the top of the neighborhood and then go ahead and pour $50,000, $100,000 into it, which in that neighborhood, they may never get that out.
Correct.
So ask questions, right? That's the moral of the story. Ask lots of questions. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. And there's always a solution that we can come up for you.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Todd, thank you so much for today, for your time. And we will see you guys next week. Be sure to follow us here on YouTube, youtube.com/Chris Grano, on all the major podcast platforms. Reach out to Todd and I anytime if we can help you with your real estate journey here in the greater Chicagoland area. And everyone have a great week.
Have a good week.